the interview with him, it felt like he doesn't want to do an international team. He doesn't believe in the international aspect, especially
My man.
you know,
Sorry,
because
Finn.
it's just like, you know, the facts are there.
When you get ropz, it'll be better. Don't worry.
No,
We're getting there soon, right? I think. All right.
no international team won a major, blah blah. Like, so I feel like if they go English, and
They were
they,
supposed to win one.
I don't know which team was that.
I don't know.
Do you know?
There was
anything
one
about
team
that?
in the past.
Yeah.
In Boston, I think. it was.
Boston,
I don't
somewhere in
know.
America.
Next question. Yeah.
About 4.5 years ago.
Add some fun to your space with Xtrfy, designed in Sweden with focus on quality products built on experience. You're looking at Project 4, their 4th generation of products with super cool colorways to stand out, with matching sets to satisfy with a solid B4 bungee, lightweight ergonomic M4 mouse, the K4 keyboard is fantastic, all of which are performance focused, and finish it off with colorful GP4 mouse mats that are bold in design and smooth on the surface. The retro theme in particular has got the feels. Complete your setup with Xtrfy. No regrets guaranteed.
Hey buddy, let me show you how to fix that. Bitskins.com. Buy and sell skins instantly. Deposit and withdraw funds instantly with crypto or directly to your Visa card. Bitskins.com. The best skin marketplace.
Fist bumps go to the teammates.
I wanna see you falling fast. Win the round. Win the game.
Parry Match. Your esports teammate.
The nice thing about Displate is they're super high quality and very easy to hang up. All you have to do is mount the magnet they provide you, then just stick the poster on the wall. Every art piece they offer is super collectible and looks great no matter where you place it in your house or room. Another wonderful thing about Displate is they also look after the environment. Every poster someone buys, Displate will plant one tree. They've already planted over 14 million trees and they're still planting. So you're not just getting an awesome poster, you're also helping the environment.
Hello, welcome to HLTV Confirmed. We're here live and direct from the Royal Arena for Blast. We have karrigan here with us. Prof and Striker have flown on in. It's a special episode, but first I need to apologize to everybody that we are almost an hour late. Look, there's been some moving and shaking, and we were all quite excited.
What's the excuse?
Well, obviously we had internet issues. We're up here on a mezzanine level in the arena. Plugging things in took some time. My call time moved around a bunch of times, and that caused us all to be in here probably a bit earlier than we should have had to have been. But we're here, and I need to thank the sponsors just out the gate. Now let's get these done. Xtrfy, looking extra fly. We got Parry Match, gamble responsibly. We got Displate if you want to have some metal posters up on your wall. They look pretty sick. I might have to get some for my house. And lastly, Bitskins if you want a Dragon Lore. I'm sure they've got one. I don't know if they do, but I'm sure they probably have one.
If they don't have one, they should get one.
Now, karrigan, thank you for joining us. Apologies for keeping you waiting, mate. Apologizing more to you than the people at home. Those motherfuckers are all in their homes. You've been hanging out here with me. We've had a coffee. We're waking up. It is early. We're going to talk about some Counter-Strike here, but in general, how's life?
It's good. It's good to be back at LAN events. 2 events in a row, right? And finally playing in arena, so it was a cool experience.
It's a big question on everybody's lips here. Is the lamp free?
Actually, I haven't checked. I have to check up on that.
Okay.
I have to come back to next confirmed show and see if it's free or not.
The poor lamp, man. Everyone's been asking. We get lots of emails about it. It's overflowing. People can't believe that the lamp was locked away. Boys, Prof Striker, you've flown in for this. How do you feel? Do you feel like you're living the high life now? You're flying in to do a podcast?
Honestly, like, to fly in just for one day for a tournament is insane. Like, I've never done. Actually, I think I've actually never done this before. Just to fly in for one day, essentially. I mean, I was here last night as well for the last series because it was pretty late. So Yeah, I mean, feels pretty good not to have to travel for like 10 days, for a tournament to actually see like the best part of the tournament.
Karrigan now.
Karrigan's dying. Karrigan's dying.
I'm gonna wait and look at the chat here.
I'm joking.
With the COVID spam.
The COVID spam. Is
The
coming.
COVID spam.
I don't know. Like, I mean, it's nice. It's nice, but like, I think we should give focus to Striker here. He did fly in late because he was at the Czech Championship, getting introduced into the Czech Esports Hall of Fame. So, like, let's get a round of applause here.
Not again.
Let's go.
Congratulations. You guys didn't even talk about my esports award, but we're talking about him getting inducted to the Czech Hall of Fame.
Because you get enough attention as it
that
is,
happened
man.
in the same week, right? We didn't have a show since that.
I don't think we did.
Yeah.
We?
So,
there you go.
congratulations on the second
Yeah,
esports award.
I've got to jerk myself off here to get anything going on. All right. Okay. Look, we obviously
nothing new there. So
yeah. I don't know, Lucas. Do we have to run all the bumpers and all that jazz? Yes, we do. Okay, we'll run the hot seat bumper, and then we can just start talking with karrigan a bit more freely. No, we don't? All right, guys. Also, by the way, they are rehearsing for the day. So it's going to get loud, and the audio is going to get scuffed. I'm looking at Lucas right now. How's it sound?
Good. Good headphones.
Nice.
Good
All right. Yeah, big thank you to Blast, I suppose, as well, for allowing us to do it from this environment here. This is kind of cool.
what the fuck is going on?
I don't know. It sounds like a guitar to me.
We're having the Star Ladder
Maybe.
guy.
Wait, there is genuinely a...
Maybe we are doing a spoiler.
Well, they know we're
Everybody-
here, right?
Okay.
So
There's
Yeah, they
literally
know.
a guy with a
They
guitar
know.
That's
down there.
literally a spoiler what's happening later.
imagine.
Well, they wanted to. You get an extra sneak peek right here. So.
Okay, well, this is it. Okay, so we're not running the bumpers. We're just going to get into things. So, Finn, obviously, I look, here in what we've got is the list. We got the major to talk about, but I would prefer if we just start localized here and then we can go out from there, right? So, for you to be back in front of the arena to play that type of Counter-Strike, again, obviously, home crowd, even though your team, international squadron. Like just from a personal standpoint, and this is the most like wanky, emotional kind of side of things, but we may as well get into that because we are human beings after all. Like, what does it mean now? It's been 2 years without this type of environment.
It feels good to be back. Like, I think I told you guys on the way up here, like, I have motivation to play online 2 years again.
Yeah.
Just being there on the stage and actually play where you used to play every third weekend on the stage, right, in playoffs, and that's where we play CS. Many of us, I think the older guys, is like, this is actually what we are used to, right? So being back on that, entertaining people, play with emotions, and just being in the zone and enjoy the moment, that's way easier than sitting online and do that.
That's what we were talking about, especially during the desk segments about you, for example, that you're an entertainer. You've always have been, like, even back when it wasn't in that type of environment. I remember watching you heard that bloody clacker you had, spinning that thing around, right? So it's like you thrive in this type of environment here. I think Rain thrived in this type of environment as well. We saw that within the Counter-Strike he was playing throughout this week. But you come into this, and I think one of the biggest takeaways for me, like, we could talk about the FaZe stuff, but one of the things is, you guys talked about the land buff, right? Or we talked about the land buff being a FaZe thing, right? And obviously this type of environment, it's different type of CS. And I think that's been clear in the Counter-Strike we watched so far. Like, did you feel that when you're on the stage? Is it different CS to the online stuff?
Yeah, I think it's more brawly, or what you say. Like, it's more clutching, 3-on-3s, people going for it. I also think people do more mistakes, but also by playing more aggressive, you can play off the crowd. And I know myself from my whole career, when you get an insane one shot with a deagle, you want to go for the second, right? And where online you might play the percentage more even higher. So yeah, some of that I think we saw, especially here in Right Arena, where I saw a lot of percentage play in the PGL major, but here in Blast, I feel it's more brawly, more momentum, and it's a little different here, but have to wait and see for the final when a lot of more on the line how people play.
Yeah, it is only the eye test, right, Strike? I don't know. We might have to go and have a look at some of the stats after, because like a lot of what we're picking up, I have the same sentiment. Right? I was making some tweets of the same kind of vibe. It's like I'm not feeling like we're seeing a huge amount of saves. Like it is feeling like a different style of Counter-Strike at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I guess especially yesterday when I saw the last game, like that was like full of clutches, and like it always went down to the wire. So, I mean, there weren't even that many situations where they could save, because it was like actual situations where they could win. So, like, from my experience, it's just the games were a little bit different. I don't know if that's like a byproduct of what you guys were talking about, of the fact that like people just go for more now. But like we've seen so many rounds go to like 2v2s, 1v2s, 2v1, stuff like that. It's just like that's what I took away, at least from like yesterday, because I saw those two series.
Yeah.
Or two of those series.
I mean, there is also the factor of kind of dead teams / new teams, and then just them playing that brawly Counter-Strike, right? Not being that defined, not being that structured at the moment. So things are kind of in the air, and people are just like doing crazy shit all over the map, and that is what in the end wins the game for either team that's on the server.
What do you think about this angle? I was just thinking about this because especially the Astralis games have been so CT heavy, right? It's been so CT heavy. Do you think that maybe that plays into it a bit more because T side max loss bonus, once that's in play, as long as you're getting the bomb down, right? You're all good for buys. Do you think that plays into any of it?
I actually was watching, I think when I watched yesterday, there was no teams above 50% win rate on T side.
Wild, right?
And that's something I've never seen before. Even with, when you think about Navi with a domination, like dominant team, they didn't have more than 50%. They might have that now after yesterday's game. But that was very interesting to me that everybody had, like, there was a lot of teams above 50 to 65% win rate on CT side during the tournament. And I think I haven't seen that for a long time. And it can also be after the major, people really haven't had time or to fix some of the T things they showed, so everything is more easier to see, right? And I think it's hard to tell why it is that, but that could be one of the reasons where people didn't have time to renew themselves. We are late in the season now, where if you go and invest a lot of time to prepare new stuff, anyway, it's out before the new season starts, right? So that could be one of the reasoning why after everybody prepared really hard for the major, and now it's, like you said, there could be a mix of dead teams and also Strides coming with. You don't know much about them either, right?
Yeah.
So some of the teams don't have a really structured T side at this event, maybe besides, I would say, Nav and Heroic, right? Who had, it's like the longest team standing here.
Did it make it easier for you guys coming into this out of the major, though? Like, in terms of the prep's already there. Like, you already have that level. Now you just had to carry that along for a couple of weeks before this event?
Yeah, I mean, what you always do is like you prepare a playbook for the big tournaments, right? So I think for everyone at this tournament, they prepared it for the major. And then there is some stuff you haven't used or you only used one time the tactic. So you made some variation of it. But I haven't seen any completely new tactic. What I also realized is people copied each other. For some tactic I saw from another team got used against someone else, and our Mirage tactic got used against us here at this tournament. So that's kind of this thing where people copy fast a tactic or move from someone else.
Did you realize right away, or was it just after the round, like, fuck these guys?
No, there was a round Heroic where we instant called, it looks like our round, where we did some A smokes, pressure B, but we don't know where we end, stuff like that. It could be they have themselves, but it was like a tactic we used against Liquid to finish the game at the major. So yeah, it can be they had their own tactic or whatever, but it's just more like the idea of the tactic. So yeah, I think that could also be the scenario where people didn't have much time to repair either.
Just to put things into perspective on the T side, because I just like quickly looked up the stats. So now we are now above 50 because it's 56.6, but yesterday was like such a big blow that just kind of like skewed things back. But like the next best team is FaZe with 43.5.
Wow, okay.
And they ask about bad T-sides. What about all other teams?
Did you read the comments?
I mean,
yes, of course I read the comments.
It's like 43.1 Liquid, 42.2 Vitality, and everybody else is under 40. Big is 30.8 for Big.
Imagine for Big being like,
that's like
okay.
I haven't seen these stats for some while that they're solo.
Solo, yeah.
This is crazy.
That is insane. Like an average is more maybe
but
like 40%.
Here comes also, when you're playing the arena, you as a CT has a big advantage because of the Molotov and HC sound.
Yeah.
If you put a Molotov on short and on the stage it shakes, you call instantly, it looks like an A execute.
Yeah.
So by CT, that's why you see on the stage some people are throwing random Molotov at CT, where normally at other tournaments you would keep them for them attacking. So that's why sometimes you see rotation that's a little different than what you're used to.
The tier 4 teams watching demos are like, oh, what is this?
Yeah,
like, let's do this. Like, I saw karrigan throw a random Molotov. Like, there must be some logic behind it.
Everybody's doing that, so it's like I know when there's Molotov throwing long, and like, okay, they know for sure we're not coming short right now because you don't hear it on the stage.
This is wild right now. I think like we're just us getting to be here while they're setting up for the day is
cool.
kind of cool.
That's why I wanted to be up here, because like we just get to see something.
Yeah.
Even if, like, I don't know when people are coming in. That's what I kind of want to have as well.
People are coming in at 1.
Yeah,
that's
so
the door opening.
And
I have a Xtrfy mousepad here, which we could like throw out down below us.
Okay.
If people show up at the time,
okay,
at the end of the show, we can do that.
All right. Well, we'll keep our eyes on that one right there. Now we are already talking a lot about like the crowd and the arena and all this kind of stuff right now. You say it's the first time you've been back in here in a while, right? This environment in a while. But more so, can you kind of give the viewer at home, you spoke about like a Molotov right there, but like in general, what are the massive differences here? Because this is the type of environment where you definitely thrive, I would say.
I think there's different stuff, right? For me, when I walked onto the stage, I had so much energy. Where normally I'll be very calm before the storm, before I go into a match. But just feeding off the energy, the sound, all the time seeing each other, I just get that energy from the crowd, and I think I give that energy back. And it was that's like the last 2 years. I haven't been in the much of the zone as I have been every match here at this tournament. Like as calling, as focusing, it was just different environment for me, and I think like as a caller, it was like really good to actually have that feeling where I had a good read and I think I moved good as a team. But sometimes you don't win the rounds, right? So yeah, like doing that and then just living the life. I mean, this is what we play for, right? Many of the players, and I'm happy some of the younger players now actually get to play on the stage first time, because this is why you keep playing, right? This is where you want to be, and this is where you want to win and lift a trophy. And sometimes you don't, but just being in that moment playing against Astralis was actually amazing, because even though the crowd is against us, the feeling of when the crowd gets silent and when they're getting kills, so just the atmosphere is what we play for, the pro players.
That Astralis game, I suppose we could focus in a little bit more. We obviously played against Heroic to start things off. That was a 2-0 to them. You then took on BIG, and that one right there seemed a bit easy, right? You took down BIG, you took care of business right there. But then the Astralis game, coming into that, for me, I'm sitting there and I'm trying to. I predicted Liquid to beat NIP, but that's because I didn't think NIP looked very good, right? If I'm going to be honest. I thought that Liquid would get the land buff the same way you guys did. But then going up against Astralis, I thought to myself, okay, there's more depth here, right? I think that karrigan with the boys, he's obviously done a lot more work. I think Rain was already playing well at that point. That was going to continue right there. Brokey, you never know exactly how things are going to go for him. But one of the issues I suppose that you guys had in that day was it was your second best of 3, right? You had that lull in the middle. I know you're not the type of guy to make an excuse for that, but if it was me, right, and you played one game,
I'd make the excuse.
I would make it. But you've exerted a lot to You've already played one series, and then the bit
Heroic also lost the second best of 3 they played.
Yeah,
we won Mountain Map at least.
Yeah, that's true.
but that game right there, right? I go in and I'm thinking, oh fuck, okay, well I know that karrigan's going to call their bluff here on Mirage, right? I know that you like that. It makes so much sense. Like if they're going to leave that out there. You start to build this mental picture in your head. Glaive hasn't called on the map, even if Blame does. Zip and Glaive haven't played this map in the better part of 2 years, right? Or over 2 years at that point. Like all those things add up. It was the right call to make. It didn't start great for you guys at all. You started to bring it back on the CT side, but with the 12-3 half, was that it? Too much?
I think it was really tough, right? So I always have this mindset thing did you prepare for starters before you play big? No, we have an analyst who is preparing. So I always focus on the first game, right? I don't want to focus on another game and spend my whole night preparing for Astralis when I have a game in front of me. Like if it's someone we don't know, but Big is a great team as well, right? So we had to take care of them first. And like there's another thing, like it was a really long day. 9:15, we had to be in the arena to do rehearsal.
Yeah.
Waiting 45 minutes for a team who was late. And then we go back to the hotel.
Name that team.
No, I'm not gonna name that team. And then we come back and so it was a long day, and we were done like 12:30, right? At that point, we have been awake for a long time and kind of been under pressure, but it is what it is. Like, I rather want to play 2 games on the stage same day and playing an off-stage environment. But coming into the Astralis game, we had another option, picking Inferno, because that's all the map Blame and Comfy hadn't played. So coming in, we just go with our confident pick, which is Mirage at this point. And that's the worst thing when you don't have played a best of 3, that you get slammed on the first half, because when you played a game before that, you need something to kickstart your energy. But it took a lot of mental fortitude to stay in the game. And I think the reason why we came back strong on Nuke was because we actually came back into the map on Mirage. Because else it could have been a blowout. If you lose 16-3 on Mirage, go into Nuke, and lose 1-2 stupid rounds, that we really hard to stay mentally focused for so long time. But yeah, I felt like it was a tough comeback on Mirage, and they played great. Like, they took me a few rounds to realize who's playing where. Did Lucky play all, but is Glaive main all maps, which they are now, right? So yeah, it was a trap, but sometimes you have to go with it, because didn't have many other options. So yeah, for me, it was a fine meter, and I also think we had the chance to come back on those 2. But yeah, I think they played great, and Comfy and Blame really started off the arena day on Mirage, which is strong, right? So it's gonna be tough to to contain those two animals.
I mean, Config is just shocking, like how he's
Yeah.
playing, not
Great.
seeing him
He's playing great.
the fucking injury and everything, and he's just destroying everyone. Like, I don't think we know he's a good player, but you know, you go to a new team, it's
He has
Astralis,
19 weeks off from an injury, dude.
Yeah.
that's
and then
insane.
he's just the best player on the team, just clearly, he's super clearly. It's kind of shocking to see.
Yeah, 100%. Like obviously, I mean, 19 weeks. I think was a bit less like actually, because in terms of at least when he got his hand back and actually got to practice, I think it was quite short.
Oh,
for that
19
type of
weeks
it.
without an official.
Yeah, that's what you were saying, right? But like he actually got back into at least like being able to DM and stuff like that pretty quickly, especially for the injury that he got, because it was pretty serious, but somehow it actually went well in terms of the recovery and stuff like that. So I think that probably helped him a lot, you know, having a couple of months at least to play DMs and stuff like that, and not actually be out of the game for months at a time, because I think it was only about a month that he actually couldn't touch the game. So I think that is essentially what made the difference. But obviously still like not playing official matches, not really playing practice until he joins Astralis, which is, you know, relatively short before
11
this.
days practice, they said they had, right? Yeah.
So obviously not a long time, and you just have a whole new system and stuff like that. I
don't know if they have a system yet,
if
mate.
any-
If you watch Copenhagen,
I was
there is
just
a
gonna
system.
say, actually, because if anything, Config doesn't really need a system,
No.
because
Yeah,
he's just like the
yeah.
guy in front. Like he's just gonna go kill.
He
Like
creates
that's-
he creates the system.
yeah, exactly. Like people just follow him. You know, he's the one who's just like going to go out and try to get these entries, and they're just going to play off the momentum of what he can get them. And he obviously has been getting them shitloads of openings and stuff like that. And so, like when you have a guy like that, you just have a lot of options to play the game. Like if you just have a guy who will just give you the entry like every second round or whatever, like he's just been crazy.
Actually reminds me of what Maniac said about Virtus Pro, like Yakinder being their crutch, you know, just being a player he's gonna do a lot of shit, and then from that point, like if you can't finish off the round, then what the fuck? And Virtus Pro is a team that could do it. Obviously, they have a lot of depth in their play, and yeah, it's kind of similar for Astralis. Like if they didn't have Config, they'd be out instantly. I feel like there'd be nothing there. I mean, they are still doing well, but
Give
without
them the buffer to allow everything else.
he just gives them the buffer. He opens up the rounds. He gives them a good start into the tournament, right? Because if they lose the first game, the second game, like it's done, right? It's not a lot of room for error in this tournament.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know if we want to talk more about Astralis or if we were planning on doing it a little bit later, Chad.
Oh, we can
But,
just. I think we
I
just
think a
free
free
flow.
flow,
I just
yeah.
free flow
Let's
this
free flow
one.
it.
We'll,
Like-
we'll go without the structure today.
One more thing, like they obviously had the openers, but I've actually been pretty impressed with Lucky and his clutching. I'm not sure what the stats are, but it's like
He's
when I saw
got
him,
the most 1vx situations
there
in
we
the
go.
tournament.
There we go. I thought so. Because like when I see him, he actually looked like a very good. Like he has a mind for it, I think. Because when I see him, he just understands the concept of like when he's in a 1v2 situation, bomb is down for him. And he just needs to wait as long as possible to make himself known, right? Like and he just knows these concepts off heart, and he doesn't get nervous when I see him. Like I watch his fucking camera.
He probably is nervous, but he doesn't look nervous.
No, but I watch his camera like in all these situations, like in between rounds and stuff like that. He's a psychopath. Like he doesn't show anything.
Yeah,
like,
he's
it's
disturbingly
incredible.
calm. Definitely, yeah.
Too calm.
Yeah.
some might say.
Too calm. Yeah, exactly. Like he just doesn't seem to get affected by the crowd. There's like a massive clutch, and he just looks like he's just like chewing his gum. He's fine. Like nobody cares. You know. Like I don't know what's up with the guy, but like I've as much as this whole move, like with Lucky not helping all of a sudden, and like originally, obviously everybody was thinking, okay, he's out of the team now. Like there's no way he's not, right? And while I think that's probably still the case, he's definitely surprised me in terms of how they've managed to make it work.
The thing with this is it might actually buy this lineup a bit of time, right?
Yeah.
Because if we're going to be honest, right, and they can say whatever the fuck they want in their PR, that's fine. You can do that. That's cool. We'll play the little game. We'll listen to what you say, but we are still entitled to our own opinion, right?
Yeah.
And it made less sense to have Lucky in the team if Glaive was going to AWP, right? Like actually, yeah, because then you could get someone else to be an AWP
With a
replacement.
rifler, yeah.
Maybe get Device on the phone, right? Things aren't going great over there at NIP, you know what I mean? But it made less sense for that. Now that this has happened and they've performed to this level, and if Glaive truly wants to have a story arc and now become the Fallen of this era, right? If he wants to be an AWPing in-game leader, I think he has the mind in the game to do it. It's just about the mechanical ability, and that can come over with time, right? Do you think that Glaive could do this consistently, realistically?
I mean, I have some. There's some issues with it, right? I tried as well the mouse. I think all secondary AWPers who can play AWP to a really good level, like we saw Dupree in Royal Arena for like 2-3 years ago, right? He has won 2 good tournaments, but as soon as you over this, like in beginning, like the first 3 months, when people start realizing how you play the AWP, that's where it gets mentally really tough. I remember myself, like 1.6, when I played second AWP, there's a freedom to take it, the hybrid, whenever you feel it, you take it. But the problem is, like, if you have a bad game with the AWP and you keep buying it, that's where it gets a big issue, in my opinion. So, yeah, they can do this for a period of time. Is Glaive then gonna say, I'm gonna do it? But when you're gonna stick with that plan, you are kind of, like, Lucky is a borrowed time until Glaive says, I can't main AWP, I don't get impact on. What they're gonna do is they're gonna put Lucky back on the AWP. That's gonna be really tough when he actually performs right now better as a rifler than he did as an AWPer, right? So yeah, we have to wait and see. I think Glaive can definitely be a really, really good AWPer, but we all know he can't be like a ZywOo simple, and you don't need that at that point if you play good around it. So he can find impact left and right. But the main focus is he gonna keep doing it because it changes his calls as well over time.
I wonder how much the fact that because it doesn't make sense to me that they would just put Glaive on the AWP if they were getting another AWPer down the line, right? Like, just keep Lucky on the AWP. If you're getting another AWPer down the line, just keep Lucky on the AWP, and like don't change the system, right? Like, but like if you put it to Glaive, that just tells me, are they actually looking for, like, potentially down the line, are they actually looking for a rifler, and is this a permanent solution or not? Because it wouldn't make sense to me for him to suddenly take over the AWP if this wasn't the long-term plan.
I don't know.
Like, it doesn't.
I think this is like okay, let's see what happens.
Try and win now.
If it goes good, we do like this. Maybe can also be a scenario where Glaive can show how to play AWP. Lucky sees it firsthand, how he communicates, how he moves. Because there can be an issue. Lucky is a good AWPer, and in that sense, he does some good things. But is he good enough to understand how to move constantly and how to communicate? You don't know how the player is communicating as an AWPer, right? Because you need to take a lot of initiative. And that can be the issue with a new AWPer, that he doesn't take enough initiative. And Glaive has to put him, like, go long with that. Just go boost, I'll boost you short. But now maybe by taking the AWP, he can show it. And maybe in the new year, Lucky's going to try again. But it opens up the, like, they have opportunities now. They could stick with Glaive. They could take Lucky. And they could go the third option if an AWPer gets available in few months, if they don't have the result they want. But right now, as they play, you're going to keep that until, like, okay, we're not playing as we want to, and then you're going to change up something, right?
I'd just still be surprised to see them do this as a patch, especially after they did this last time when they lost Device and they realized, okay, fuck, we don't have an AWPer now. And, like, neither Dupree or Glaive wanted to do it full time. And that's why they got. I mean, that's why they got lucky.
I mean, Glaive essentially said we're not going to be a #1 team without a primary.
That's why. What changes now that he wants to full AWP, right?
That's my question essentially. That's why.
I mean, I think they just don't want to be a #1 team anymore. I think
maybe
Astralis
less pressure, right? We've got to be the best team in the world without being an AWPer, without having an AWPer.
Exactly. I just the whole situation doesn't compute to me. It's just like I don't know what the thinking is behind it. And obviously, we're never going to learn from Astralis like what the actual thinking is. Like that's the biggest problem. Like whoever you talk to, they're going to be, oh no, whatever you're thinking, that's not right. Like
they're going to tell us everything except what is actually going on.
I think here, right, the Astralis conversation we're having right now in the microcosm of this event, it can make sense, right? And it is making sense because it's working. They're riding this momentum, right? The long-term conversation is the one that we're most interested about because we always project in Counter-Strike, right? We always think what's going to happen in the future. And I think one of the things here, though, that has been so good for Astralis is the fact that everybody in the team, other than Lucky, is a very experienced player who understands high-level Counter-Strike, right? That goes without saying, but I need to. And then they're able to play in a looser environment than what they've been used to in both of their previous teams. And they're riding the momentum of it being a home crowd event and a honeymoon, right? This is what we're seeing right now, right? They have everything. This is a perfect storm for them. That's why today, for the sake of the event, I hope that they beat Vitality because I don't think Vitality are going to do anything against Na'Vi for the grand final. I think Astralis could use the crowd, and if they can keep rolling that momentum to give us an exciting final, but I still don't think they're going to stop Na'Vi. Like, but it would have to be something crazy.
Yeah, they have to stop Vitality first as well.
Yeah. I think if there's an opportunity with Astralis, it's definitely also Na'Vi is a heavy anti-strat team. So you will go into, Na'Vi would kind of go blind into the games. Like they are, obviously they play Nuke like 3 or 4 times. Now you have a lot of information on that. But besides that, you don't know what they're going to do, right? It's still very early. Like I said on Mirage, we don't know how Glaive's heat map is as an AWPer.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the first things as an in-game leader you want. How is he playing the AWP? What peaks he does? How is his timing? So all of that we had nothing about.
Config AWP CT side advance, so you know that there's lots of sensible plays going on here.
So yeah, like I think this is the perfect storm for Astralis. No pressure, home crowd. Nobody knows the identity. They don't know their identity themselves.
Looks like it.
So yeah, like no, I think that is why they're pushing so, and all the players, when you look at the team, it's a good team. But when you look at the team, it was like, what way are they gonna play? Because they're two different in-game leaders for the last 2-3 years who've done really great in the teams with completely different styles. So like long term, you have to see how that works, right? Because some teams, when they had a lot of strong voices, like in OG, they had issues down the line with MBK, Valde, and the Lexi B, right? They had a lot of ideas how to play the game, but right now it's all honeymoon, everybody enjoying. Blame is not calling, right? Everything is great. So, so you never like
until
you never
the honeymoon finishes.
Yeah,
and then we'll see what happens. Because I feel like this is a team that could have a lot of issues in terms of personalities when things go bad. Like at this event, they already did their job, so this year is gonna be okay for sure. But let's see, like next year, if they go out in groups, in Katowice or something like that, then I want to see how the team dynamic is going to work.
The long-term projection is not good. As far as I feel, right?
Yeah.
Because these issues.
I mean, if they just continue winning, it's going to be amazing.
Sure.
But I feel like it's like the Liquid lineup that we had that did the Grand Slam. It was amazing when it was winning, even though you knew that like Twist wasn't happy with the roles. This guy was doing this, the opping was kind of here, there, everywhere, but they were winning, so everything is nice.
Fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have to wait and see. I think on paper it's great players. And like we say, if they add a strong Orba, like in Denmark,
Device,
whatever, if that quest comes back. But if you add a Danish strong Orba and Glaive can free up, maybe he's doing great. But at some point, if they add a very strong Danish Orba, if Lucky don't want to play it, now you're looking at a great team because you have the pieces. Now just if they fit together and have a good synergy.
Let's actually just touch on like the device thing for a moment.
Okay.
We did hear Monasi, 16-year-old Navi prodigy, said that he wasn't happy. So that's
that's true.
That's what we are rolling with. These are the facts that we have. So if he said it,
the facts
from Ukraine or in Russia, wherever he's living, he knows all of the details. So, is there actually a chance for Device to go back to the show? Because like people at this event have been asking me, like, is it going to happen? Can it happen? Do you think it can happen?
Astralis don't like spending money, right? So,
I mean, the thing is, like, especially now that maybe not necessarily now, because like it's been quite a while before after they won IEM Fall and after Device showed the kind of form that he did there. So, like, at that point, they just had, like, the proof of concept, right? They just saw that the Device can win them titles. Like, that's what they saw at IEM Fall, right? We haven't really seen it since then, and they've struggled since then, obviously. Things have changed, and they just got a new player. But, like, NIP are not going to give up their golden boy for, like, anything reasonable. So it's going to be really big money to get him back. So I think you're right. I don't think Astralis wants to spend money. I just think they can't get him, even if they wanted to.
I mean, I think if you look down 8 months, 9 months, now you can start talking about it. It doesn't make sense now. He just went to NIP, they just got new players. Astralis is making new lineup. So it doesn't make sense right now, but if you see NIP dropping off and Device is not happy, then there is a chance that he would go back, right? But for now, I don't think. But if you're talking to me in August and NIP is not doing great, Astralis is not doing great, I think that's something to talk about. But I think the thing is, it was very strange the way Device left Astralis. Was it the organization? Was it the players? Didn't he believe in the project anymore? Sure. There's a lot of question marks behind the scenes we don't know. Yeah. For me, when he left, it was like kind of a bomb. Yeah. I heard nothing, no rumors about it. Suddenly at bootcamp, I saw he left. Yeah. So it's like really, really fast that happened. Not like rumors about Astralis trying to sell Device. It's more like he wants to leave and it's now. Yeah. Instead of like waiting out his contract and getting a huge salary, sign-on bonus, whatever you want, like the other players have done, right? So in my opinion, it was a very, very strange scenario that he decides to leave there, right there at the moment.
Yeah. What do we make of NIP overall, though, right? Obviously, the ZTR, the LNZ, this is obviously the Hampus interview. Who did the Hampus interview the other day?
Note, our guy.
And we got the Cliff Notes for that one?
I mean... amazing.
No, just me?
It was pretty good.
Thank you.
I didn't get it on first, then I realized with your stupid laugh that it was a fun. I do that all the time, so I vibe with that.
That's a prop joke.
I mean, he did say, I don't think I just read like one answer, which was about the STI communication stuff, and the STI communication is not good. Essentially, it's not good. So I know it might come as a shock, but he doesn't actually speak Danish. And we've had this in the past, and people always say like, oh, yeah, he's Swedish, Swedish, Danish, it can work, but it obviously cannot work that quickly, at least. So yeah, it's a big problem, especially for. I feel like this is also part of what is bothering Device. Like, he comes from Astralis, they have a very nice system, everything's working, you know who's doing what. And then you come into NIP, you play with an academy guy that never played CS in his life, literally installed the game yesterday. He was playing like Fortnite before that.
Oh, dear.
And then 2 days later, we have a new academy guy. So everything that you taught this guy, throw that out the window. This new guy is right here is like, oh, fuck this shit. Then they win one event. It's like, we have a new guy. He doesn't speak the language. It's like, it's probably very tilting as well.
I mean, there's no way he didn't have some sort of a say in SSI getting in, though. Like, there's no way
yeah,
they
but
just got him
but don't you
without
feel like
Device's
the
input.
pre-move was what he wanted, though?
The thing is, like, did Dupree want to go alone and
But that's why it didn't happen, obviously.
Yeah,
because the Astralis move, the trio from Astralis to Vitality was a package deal, apparently.
But that's the thing is that those three cost a lot of money, right? It's quite clear that those three players cost with the coach as well.
But they go for free, right?
They what?
The contracts. But that's why they're not playing for Vitality right now, because they're waiting out the contracts.
January.
Oh, okay. So then maybe they didn't need to make that. Yeah, no. Okay, not the buyout. The salary.
Yeah.
They're not going to go to a team where they're not going to get either what they were getting or even more.
But on paper, if I had to look from NIP outside, I don't think that's an expensive team besides Device.
Yeah, you're
like
right.
When I look
agree.
from the contracts, like just like how they came into NIP, right? They might have a really good salary in like a year or something like that, but they came to become stars in NIP. They didn't come as stars.
Yeah.
So like for me, that makes sense if they actually got another. I also don't think Attack is cheap, as what we have heard about what their Cloud9s and complexity contracts.
Yeah.
Best manager in esports, they say.
But yeah, I don't know. The NIP roster, like I have a hard time putting Attack on what kind of role he is, because for me, when it came to Cloud9, it's like, is he kind of a star? Because the performance he came with from Astralis was really good, like in what he did in the roles, right? But then I saw him in complexity, and it just felt completely 180 degree of what he was in Astralis, player-wise, decision-making, and that could be a bad team, right? And now he comes into a new team where he has to kind of learn on the fly Swedish, and I have played with Swedes, like you can have an easy communication, but the second the communication like gets really hectic, that's where like you have to think Swedish. It's different with English because it's a completely different language. So if I would talk Swedish, I think I would mix too many Danish words in. Like if I'm in a 2-2 or 3-3, right? So yeah, I think on paper right now it looks, in my opinion, kind of strange. But you have like actually 4 good players around Device. Like when you just look at the names, Blobsky can have good games. Rez is like has star potential. Istech has good performance, and then you have Hambus as a good in-game leader with good stats, right? So, but then the synergy is of that team is like from outside is like.
They've always had a consistency problem in terms of like getting all their players to be on at the same time. Like it almost never happens. Like it's so rare for them to all be on. Like it's even now rare, even for a resin device to be on at the same time. Like it almost never happens. So like that's always been in the identity of an IP, and I think they wanted to solve that with Device when they got in Device, or they were hoping to solve that because they would get one like stable performer. But we haven't really seen Device on that level either, at least not consistently from tournament to tournament. So it's like this issue has just been haunting NIP for a long time, and I think especially now that Rez just has these like ups and downs, and like he had a terrible major, like for example, and now he's looking a little bit back up, but still it's not the star that we know him to be, right? So like unless they finally get 2 people to just be on at the same time at all times, I don't think they're ever going to be like a consistent like top contender, you know?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like any of those 4 guys can go off and they actually have a good game, but if they're all quiet at the same time, you have devices really stable or always putting up numbers, right? And I think the reason why NIP did so good at the major, like went that far, was because of Hambus.
Yeah,
he had a really great tournament, and like I think that changes a lot. If he has a little more off game, there's a lot more pressure on other guys to perform because he does a lot of entering and does a lot of calling out of his entries, right? So if he has a bad game, then the other guys need to be on the same page. The same goes for our team, right? If they have a really good game, calling, getting the entries I need, the game becomes way more smoother. But if I have a bad game and we start 4 and 5, it's sometimes a little different, right? So yeah, I think that's also the mix you have to be really aware of. I didn't see the games here with them, but it sounded like they had a rough T side, and I don't know if that comes down to Hambus also missing the duels, missing the timings, because that's really tough sometimes as an in-game leader to when you have very like effective game the day before. Next game you want to do the same, and don't get in the zone. You don't get in the timings. You kind of let your team down. You have to be really good at saying this is enough. I need to fall a little more back now.
Yeah, I mean, you have a problem if you're like aggressive in game leader is your best player at the moment. Like that's not,
then
that's
you
not
have
what you want to do.
the most impact players, the in-game leader doing great stuff. Then it's not reliable.
Yeah.
It can be for a tournament a few days, but I know myself. Like I played really good at Challenger State Major. Went into the next stage, I'm like nothing worked. I'm like, okay, now I can't let the team down in the same, but I carried the team the day before, you know. So for that, like,
how do you solve? Like, what do you do then in the game when that happens? Like, you have someone else like say, okay, you need to do more aggressive stuff. You just send Rain in and.
No, like as a caller, you took like sometimes I will do some random calls on the fly where I do something, I find the timing and so on. But if it doesn't work, we fall back into a structure. You know, like how we normally take defaults, how we take map control. I might be the first guy, but I'm not that aggressive as I would be not around. So the trades would be bad. So that's one of the main issues have been sometimes with me. If I have a bad game, the trading percentage of our team goes really low down because I die somewhere without a trade potential. But if you have a structure and a default and this is how you take as a group, you should get the trades more often than when I'm doing some of these random things where I'm walking behind people. So yeah.
Going back on the cliff notes from that interview, there was also one thing that they said that they might just do like a temporary fix for IEM Winter, where they're going to go back to where they're going to do English in certain. And I don't know if in certain situations or if, I mean, honestly, I think it's a better solution than having them
fucked, bro.
combined. Like long term, it's obviously bad. Like it's just
what we're doing is we're sticking our fingers in a leaky boat. That's what we're doing. That's what they are doing.
You should just.
I thought you were gonna say something else.
You just have to trust the process, no? Like
trust the process. But keep changing.
We're gonna speak Swedish after one term. We're gonna speak English now. Like I just keep with it. Like test it out for 2 events. Go on like this the break and figure out how we're gonna do it next. Are we gonna start without Swedish and then okay if it doesn't work in February, March we have to switch to English because if we do that now. Then S-Tech feels really comfortable, plays good. Then you go back to Swedish, then
reset again.
Yeah, reset again. Like just go with it and have a rough tournament and just stay strong as a team and don't like listen to the community and stuff like that.
It's especially hard that I feel like
step away from the comment section.
Sometimes you have to trust me.
Sports mode user or not?
What?
Do you use sport mode on HLTV?
No, if I go there, I already know what I'm going to do. So like. Can't ignore it. It's like sometimes you can handle it and laugh about it, but sometimes not today.
Just not opening.
Not opening. I know which days I don't have to.
After the major, no HLTV for a couple of days.
It took a few days before I could go in there, and if I go in there, it was like really fast clicking on a match. Like what's the score?
I think it's especially difficult for NIP considering like this. What they brought in S-Attack for was essentially to do what he did in Astralis. That's my understanding. Talking to Device as well, was to be like that, like support player, secondary caller, CT side, and like information T side, some ideas, blah blah blah. Like, and you can't do that if you can't speak the fucking language. Like, how do you do that? It's very hard. So it's definitely it was always going to be a process for them. To get into speed, and I think they just needed to be a bit more realistic about it. But they already got one Dane, so they maybe slot this.
But the problem for me, it's also NIP, right? It seems like this old NIP where there were 4 guys together. They get one player, not Swedish, or next one not Swedish. Swedish didn't work out, and I don't hope that happens now because, like, for me, when I look at this S-Tech's career right now, when he was a good player in Heroic, he came to Astralis, he became even like. Now we're talking about a great player, right? He goes to Cloud9, value drops a little bit. He goes to Complexity, value drops completely, right?
Yeah.
So if that doesn't work out in NIP the next few months, then his career like really took a really rocket sky. And then suddenly you have to be very careful. That's also why I was very interested in the S-Tech said yes to this because you have to go into believing this is your last chance to actually prove you belong in a top 5-6 team, right? So there is also a lot of pressure on NIP at this point because you are signing 2 big names in Denmark, bigger than the other players you have, like brand-wise at that point, right? So yeah, I don't know what timeline they have, but they have to stick to speaking Swedish, and if it doesn't work, they have to figure something else out. Then you're going international because like the players who signed now, you have to be in a top 5. Like when you look at the team.
Yeah. You want to keep going with NIP?
No, I mean something also from Devices with the interview with him. It felt like he doesn't want to do an international team. He doesn't believe in the international aspect, especially
My man.
you know,
Sorry,
because
Finn.
it's just like, you know, the facts are there.
When you get RobbaN, it'll be better. Don't worry.
No,
We're getting there soon, right? I think. All right.
no international team won a major, blah blah. Like, so I feel like if they go English, and
They were
then
supposed to win one.
yeah. I don't know which team was that.
I don't know.
Do you know?
There was
anything
one
about
team
that?
in the past.
Yeah.
In Boston, I think. it was.
Boston,
I don't
somewhere in
know.
America.
Next question.
About 4.5 years ago. 3.5.
So back then,
when
when
you-
there was only one international, there was two, right? Or
How
something.
do you?
Sports have been around
So
for a
you're
while.
scrolling Twitter casually, like let's say like a week ago, and you see the classic meme coming up. Don't forget the FaZe 15-11 choke. How do you react to that?
Yeah, that's the problem. I think, like, when I look back at that now, like, the first year was tough. But actually, when I look at it now, I'm like,
First year.
yeah, it was.
It's a long time, yeah.
That's the only match I have never rewatched the last 6 years.
Wow.
Because I already knew the decision making 15-11. I think I actually had the same scenario against VP this time. The money was wrecked in 15-11. We decided to do a half buy, and the system was back then was different. So we ended up having 2 half buys, 1 buy, and a really bad buy last round.
Yeah.
So after that tournament, like, never ever do I go with like overthinking the buy. Because at VP now, I look at the money that we buy at 15-11 and we won the round. You know, because I went with the first feeling where I felt like there I thought too much about, okay, we will lose this, how much money do the next round? And timeouts was not there. You know, at that point we didn't have timeout left. So I think that's what I learned from the match. To be like assertive and just trust, like, this is where we buy and we go with the flow. So yeah, it was tough. It is tough sometimes, but I don't think about it anymore. I think everybody, like you have chance to win a major. There might be a scenario we never win a major, but that's how it is. I think I have won a lot of different tournaments and just go with it. Like, there's not much I can do, right? If you win a major, you have to peak. Like, we saw that Navi peaked at the major. Everybody else, like, no chance, you know? Cloud9 peaked at that major.
Yeah.
And they died after, you know? Like, you have to peak on the major, and if you don't do that, you don't win it. And if you don't peak, you have to be very lucky to win it. Like, that's literally how I see it. And you can't really control your peak.
Yeah.
You can do everything to optimize the peak, which I think we did. Like, we were in a really good shape, and we were having really good games at the major and before the major. But after that, that was tough, though.
Do you feel bad for Nico for this final now at BGL major?
I mean, not like, it's not like he was big favorite, right? To win it. Like, there was this round with the Deagle and stuff. You
And
don't
they were
know.
like also like 15, whatever it was, 15, 11
you
or something
know,
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I kind of like looked. All right, this tough now. 15-11. If
It
this
was
goes wrong,
14-7.
14-7.
Yeah.
but then it was 15-11,
Yeah.
and that's not the score. That's not the scoreline you want to see. But it was not Inferno. That could have been a really tough one. But yeah. Sometimes I see Stewie missing his shots on triple this tournament as well. That kind of tilts me. So that's
Just
like,
miss one,
yeah,
man.
that's
Just
that's
miss one.
like kind of the thing. Sometimes it comes up when I see Stewie going triple in whatever game, and he missed the first shot.
I did
And
see
people
that.
come in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then at that moment, like, I was shouting in the prep room, yeah, he didn't do that to Buffalo. And, like, so it comes sometimes, but like, you just have to embrace it, right? I said to the guys, I rather want to be in the final and lose that way than not even be in the final.
Yeah.
Like, you want to be there. That happens to every player, every sports person, that you're gonna lose some games you should not have lost.
I feel like for Guardian, for me, when I think about it, it's mostly about Guardian. Like, I feel the worst for him because that's it. Like, he's not gonna get another chance. And he had a couple of chances with Navi. He had the injury as well. Had a lot of bad luck with the grand final, and he played that grand final, I feel like, really well in that tournament overall. So I feel bad for him. Like, you and Nico still have chances to do it, I feel like.
Plenty more chances, I would say. And I was joking about the ropz thing, but it would be cool. I think I'm gonna. You obviously can't say anything here, but I think if you had Rain in the form that he's in right now, and you had ropz, Twists, and Brokey, like, that is sick. Like, you can't say anything. I don't even know why I'm going down this path right here. What's
Would
the
you
point?
believe
Why-
that they
what-
would be top 3 for 6 months in a row?
Yeah, I would lose the bet.
There you go.
I think I would lose the bet. I think I'd lose the bet that I've got with you if that was the roster.
Lost the bet.
A top international team has to be top 3 for 6 months in a row.
Yeah, and I bet him €1,000.
We've been
And-
top 10 for 6
Yeah.
months.
Oh, I know.
Hey.
The thing is, you had already done it with FaZe before, but like we
Yeah.
only did the bet like 2 years ago or something
Yeah.
like that.
How
so-
long was it with Mouse? It was also a few months, right?
It was like 4 months. We
Yeah,
were
you
pretty
just
close. We were
missed
getting
it.
pretty close.
Yeah. I wasn't getting that nervous. I was a little bit nervous.
Yeah, because everything became online, so we're like, thank God,
lucky.
Voxic with ping 60. That's gonna go good, guys. You got this.
Would have been €1,000 richer now.
I got a bit lucky there, but yeah, that's one of the things. I think communication is like the most not the most important thing, but one of the most important things, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I put so much stock in that bet. Like the bet wasn't as bad in my favor the first time I tried to do it. It was Pimp and Striker, and they were like, neither of them took it. And I was like, fuck it, you know what? Like I said, over 5 years, I did a 5-year bet for €1,000 with 2 blokes that are top. So I am gonna lose it, right? It will happen in 5 years. Like I can almost guarantee it. But just to make it was more to make my point about how important I think that communication is.
I mean, the fact that it's been 2 years and it hasn't happened yet just proves your point, I feel like.
But also, I think you have to take COVID into consideration here because the teams that are national, they can actually bootcamp during that period.
Okay.
Our situation was dire in mouse spots and FaZe. Like even if we had a bootcamp place in mouse, we could not gather everyone because Turkey is not really part of Europe and didn't see like if they're cheating with cases. So like everything just got really, really hard. And with FaZe, it was like we didn't have an office right now in Europe, so everything has to be pre-planned ahead. So I think also with the last 2 years, you have to take that into consideration that the COVID, I would say, hit a little harder on the international team than it would on the national teams, especially in my opinion, right? And you have also OG with a guy from Israel, like playing online, and you have the boot camp, you know, like so. But being back to LAN, hopefully next year, we don't know. So yeah, I think we're gonna see a lot of difference, but also think, like you said, the communication is the issue, right? And when we made FaZe back in the days, we took the best players on different regions, but you also have to agree, 4 or 5 years ago, the level was not as high as it is today.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, there is some situation where you have to be really sharp in how you structure, the culture is in the team. So there's a lot more work around the international team, but I know if you hit the right pieces, you hit the right, like, play style and everybody on the same page, you can have a really strong team because you can pick players that specifically to what kind of role you want in the team. When Denmark, you can't really do that. You have to like create what you have in like a smaller player base.
The opening situation with Astralis is just a fact.
Exactly. Like so you, in an international team, you can pick whatever you want and try to. It's gonna be longer time to help him improve in English. But nowadays, when I see all the players, besides the CS players, everybody speak good English. Like even for example, when he's a guy who's 16 years old, he can actually communicate on English in a team.
Yeah.
You know, like so. The level of that is being high, and that, like I said, I think all teams improved immediately in all regions as well. Like CS, for example, right? So
I wonder. There was a kind of a half joking conversation that I had with Peter, who said like maybe international teams should start speaking Russian, or just start learning to speak Russian. Because
I mean,
there's too many CIS offers. Right? That's just too many of them. Like you can't not. Like at the end of this, maybe like over the next half a year, there's no way we don't see like 2 or 3 big CIS offers like in other teams.
If I'm a big CIS org, if I'm Na'Vi Academy, if I'm any of these orgs, I'm on the side to make money for my org. I'm having English lessons for these guys as part of it, right? Think about that. Like think about if these orgs, if Na'Vi Academy took it on themselves, we're going to teach all these kids. Right, we're going to teach them all English. Imagine that. Like, imagine how that could go. Like, what are we talking here? We can go through the list, right? The list of the ones that we all know, obviously. Elian in the mix right there. Monacy's another big name in that. Dexter's another name in that conversation, right? But then you get into some of the names that we don't know if they're tested, but they have good stats. Like, I mean, like Deco, wonderful. Like you keep going through those kind of lists right there, and you think it's a holy shit. Like, if these guys are the same as the rest, then it becomes really scary from that region. And that's one thing, just to kind of go off on a little bit of a tangent here for a second, is like right now, I would say in the CIS region that the player base is probably going through the roof, right? Whereas in North America, it's obviously going in the bin, right? But we're not like we're losing players. We're gaining players just in other regions. It's just unfortunate that the CIS region doesn't have the same sponsorship kind of opportunities as what North America has, right? That's the biggest blow that we have right here. And I'm going to use that as a segue into Liquid. You see how I do that, guys? There we do that. Look at this.
He's a host.
He's like... There is no podcast host of the year on the esports awards.
Yes,
so maybe we need to push for that. So we can win another. I saw you put coach.
Yeah, that was for people who weren't aware. I'm joking with that shit. With coach and player, I'm not attempting to coach in 2022 or play in 2023 because I don't think I can do either. But
what's Lucas?
Couldn't we start with Oh, maybe they can't hear me.
I can hear you.
They can hear me. Okay. maybe we should start with just getting a podcast of the year.
Okay.
Ah.
Yeah. All
Podcast
right.
host.
And then we
Not
get
bad.
to.
I
all
think,
right,
There's
okay.
like supporting
I-
content of the year or something like that.
I think
kind
we
of
can try next year when we actually show up on time and start the show.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Don't keep our guests waiting for an hour. That should be the first goal. And then
Lucas puts away.
I'm not gonna vote if it was tomorrow. That's for sure.
All right, let's talk a bit about Liquid here, right? Because everybody knows the context around this team. They understand the situation. So I don't want to talk about that because we don't need to talk about that. But I think what we should talk about is what we can see happening from this team going forward. Now we all have probably heard different rumors, right? We've all probably heard different bits and
They've
bobs.
literally almost like they said as much as they could to basically confirm all the rumors, man. It's just like it could not be less of a secret right now.
But the question marks I have is the two who I think are going to be in the more awkward positions within the team is Fallen, right? Is he going to go and actually do this last dance thing? Cold Zero said he's not into it, right? But now apparently Bolts is rumored to be a part of that. Yeah, I know. And then the other individual is Grim, because I think Grim's kind of been kicked to the curb here. He hasn't come in any of the rumors we've had for these rosters. Are they both fucked, or what do we think?
I feel so bad for Grim. You know, like he had so high potential when I looked at the stats and how he played in Triumph and come into Liquid. And here is where people often do mistakes as an in-game leader org and but also a player. Grim said probably yes because it's a really nice team, but
Liquid,
he didn't know what he went into, like what kind of role he's gonna play, because you can't say yes to an offer and then 6 out of your 7 roles are different than what you're used to.
Yeah,
it's never gonna work out. The pressure's gonna be immense on you when you join Liquid, and the in-game leader, it's also part of that fault. Like, okay, this is what you like to do. I can give you a certain amount of time. You try this role, but if it doesn't work, we need to put another player in that role who's used to that. Because I think that's the worst thing you do as an in-game leader is you take a very prominent name, he plays good in another team, you take him in and you completely change him.
Yeah.
And that's where I feel a lot of issues with Liquid as well, right?
Yeah.
Fallen comes in, wants to put a structure, the player says, no, we do it our way. Already there, I would have left the boat. Like, honestly, like if you come to the team as an in-game leader, you set the structure, you set the process of the next 6 months. If it doesn't work, and over time, you improve the team, how the player can integrate his playstyle into your system. But you come with a view of the game, and if the player's already changing view after 1 month, that's where it's already there, it's already done.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot bring Stu under a call, and then you bring Fallen again under a call, and like the direction is like this, like nobody's controlling the boat.
Yeah.
Like you need someone to set it. And that's what I feel bad for Grim, like also the interview with Stewie and stuff like.
I love that interview though.
Yeah, but it's like like a Netflix show. Like I want to see the next episode, next interview. Well, okay, we need Grim to say something, and then Stewie needs to come forward. What is Fallen saying about the whole calling system? You know, there's like a Netflix show going. I was reading Reddit. Where's the next interview? Because this is gonna fire up. But I think they calmed everything down, and then they start playing CS, and they won a game.
Yeah. I think the funniest thing about that interview is everything we thought was going on happened, and it was even worse than that. Like when these changes were going on, we do shows like, what the fuck is going on? This doesn't make any sense. This kind of weird. Like, but we're kind of balanced with our approach. But then Stewie comes out and says like, oh, no, we're actually fucked. Like we're just just a shit show. We're like, okay.
This is interesting. Keep talking. It's like I could feel in the interview that like, this is good. You want to say more? We have more questions. When I read through it, I could just feel the interview was like smiling behind the mask. Like, this is good. This is really good. It's gonna be high on Reddit. Everybody's gonna click. This is great.
The thing is, it was like one of those interviews where you don't need to push. Like you just let them go. You know, it's just like it's up to them entirely.
Yeah,
so
but you're smiling under the mask.
Yeah, exactly. It's not like
go on, King.
Like you're there for the road. It's basically like you're just like, okay,
take me for the ride.
Please keep talking.
I think it helped them though. Like one of the angles I had on the desk with Matthew is like it's airing the dirty laundry, and then once it's out in public, then it's no longer a question mark. There's no longer speculation. We all know, and then you can just get on with the job, right? Because once you have it out there, right, then there's no more. Oh, is this happening or is this happening? No, this is how it is. It's all fucked up, and now they can just play CS because they're good players, and that's what we saw. We saw them, especially Naf.
Yeah.
Naf's buy up. If I'm Liquid and all this, like everyone's swirling around, EG's coming in, Cloud9 are thinking about coming back. Maybe that buyout, you know, if you can make it a little, because Naf played great Counter-Strike. He played really good. And the clutches as well. You're starting to see in this environment players like that getting away with what they do best, right? And capitalizing on those moments. So I think for North American Counter-Strike, they should be happy to see them perform in a crowd like this, because if we get back to this regularly, the players are there. We know that the players are there. This is why I feel like it sucks for like the Ethans and the Nitros who they left us, But by leaving us, they left this, and this is where they did their best work, right? So that's a little bit of a shame. Maybe we get Nitro back. Like rumors is Nitro maybe coming back, Automatic maybe coming back.
This is the fucking reunion period, man. Like, what is going on? Like,
doesn't help grassroots.
They probably saw the major and saw the view number like, okay, we need to go back now.
Let's go back.
It's time.
I mean, it's
online is done. We can be.
Yeah, they took a vacation.
But it's paid vacation though.
Yeah,
Nice.
but there's also like, isn't there like a Valorant off season right now?
Yeah,
or something like that. I don't know what's
They're
happening.
about to do their world finals, I think.
Okay, but I heard that the season is very much off compared to CSGO circuit, where you're used to being on a road, playing all the time, grinding all the time. So I think that can all be one reason why you're sitting home like, I actually miss Counter-Strike now.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
So-
that's essentially what I heard. It's essentially like the major happening, seeing the pictures, videos, everyone talking about it, big shows, arenas, and it's like, it's kind of nice. you know?
Yeah, I mean,
Kinda
everybody
what I
got
like.
kind of like disenchanted with the game for like a couple of years. Like, that's just gonna happen, right? So like that's understandable. But now that everything's coming back, it's just that nostalgia is gonna kick in, and you just want to be in front of this crowd, right? So
Yeah, if we could build the circuit that meant that the unfortunately the partner era that we're in with teams, it just means that you're going to be away from home all the time. It's all going to be in Europe. If we could build that system where you got to pick and choose your events a little bit more, that we've spoken about a couple times in this show, then I think we would have them all come back, because then they could balance that work-life scenario. I know that you need to be in Europe to be the best. There's no doubt about that, but they could balance it a bit more. We could plan a little bit more. We could have swings like tennis where the European mob, you guys get in the traveling circus and you all go to America for a couple months. So they get to be in America. You guys get to be in America. You practice against some of the up-and-coming North American teams. It helps everything out, right? We could do a swing in the CIS region where you guys go to Russia. Or they could do a European one. We could do one where we go to Asia. Like, the things we could do if we could just get a circuit functioning, and it could be so good for everybody. Now, obviously, that's without the Transformer fucking variant killing us all. But look, that's a conversation.
We didn't talk about the liquid rumors though. Actually, like
The liquid rumors?
more or less, we have the whole team, like a whole team rumored to be on liquid, which is
4 out of 5. Well,
yeah.
kind of.
I mean, even the fifth one,
Oh, it's
know
supposed to
some-
be an opera, which is supposed to be like Modesty and like all these like
yeah,
buzz names,
or
you know?
OC, right?
Or
Those are
OC, yeah.
those are the two names that are most prominent for liquid. Then we have Nitro coming back to IGL,
Yep.
Elige staying,
Hmm.
the Vinny as a support player, and Shocks. Like, for me, this
Full
is such
Vinny, man.
a fucking, I don't
This
know.
is like a culture difference.
I think
a
they
lot.
and they
Yeah.
also go from like too many stars to too few. In my eyes, like in that team, like if you
True.
have Nitro, Shocks, and Vinny on the same team, like I feel like there's just space for only 2 of them.
True. But it's also first time Shocks is playing international team, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to be strange for him, right? Because
that's for sure.
How is Vinny? Vinny also only play with Brazilian, only play
No,
with one
yeah.
team, so he has
Yeah,
only
he's been
experience.
in Fury
one
for 4
system.
years, 4 5 years.
Yeah, like there is a lot of. I mean, the way French play CS, or the way Brazilian play CS, and the way NA play CS, you have a lot of your plate to connect those pieces and
And
understand
then
each
you add
other.
a 16-year-old CIS opper onto that.
Now you're talking. Yeah, okay. Now it's. Yeah, I mean,
that's
I know from international teams that there are not only culture difference, but the understanding of the game is different. Like it takes time to master these pieces together, because everybody has something they learned. Like all Danish players, they're coming through the same in-game deals in Denmark. They learn how to play as a team, and like when you have a French guy who has played in French CS for like 10, 15 years and have a strong voice, has been an in-game leader, have a way he will looks at the game. It's not a young guy. You can transform it to something. So yeah, I think that's gonna be tough if they make that mix of a team, honestly. But that's a start for international team. Then you can pick up some pieces later in the year, like in beginning of year, right? When you start international team, you can never make a super team.
Yeah.
You need to have some pieces like this work, this doesn't work, and you switch slowly out who is performing, who can play under the same like roof and the same style.
Yeah.
The Xtrfy M42 RGB, what a fun mouse with 5 colorways, lightweight frame at just 59 grams with the swappable backplate to suit your grip style, the sensor, the easy core, the smooth skates, and driverless control for RGB and DPI is why you should check out the M42 RGB down below.
These bombs go to the teammates.
I wanna see you rolling fast. Win the round. Win the game.
Parimatch, your esports teammate. Buy and sell your skins now. Easy, fast, and safe. The best skin site. credit card deposits and withdrawals, instant cash out methods. Get the best deals. Quick, simple, reliable. Bitskins.com.
The nice thing about Displate is they're super high quality and very easy to hang up. All you have to do is mount the magnet they provide you, then just stick the poster on the wall. Every art piece they offer is super collectible and looks great no matter where you place it in your house or room. Another wonderful thing about Displate is they also look after the environment. Every poster someone buys, Displate will plant 1 tree. They have already planted over 14 million trees and they're still planting. So you're not just getting an awesome poster, you're also helping the environment.
All right, guys, I'm just taking a quick look here at the teams we haven't discussed yet from this event. We haven't spoken about Heroic, and we haven't spoken about Big, and then we have the rest of the teams here today, Na'Vi, Astralis, and Vitality. So let's talk about Big. I think this one, most of us will probably agree here. There's not too much to say, just they need a bit more firepower. I think firepower is the biggest issue of that team. Yeah. It can't just be Sirison and Tabson.
I mean, even Sirison isn't really doing that much, honestly.
No,
like, if you talk about Sirison when he was top 10 player of the year, during the online period, then yeah, of course, I think they'd be a deadly team. But he's not that right now.
Yeah.
So that, and then the rest of the team being, big players as we know them, just like okay, but not explosive. And Tabson doing okay, but still being the in-game leader. So he's not gonna be, a fucking Nico.
Yeah.
Right. He's limited a bit in that. It's just, yeah, that part is just not enough.
I have a hard time seeing them become a top 5 team. Like, even if giving them time, I think Tabs is a great in-game leader. But the pieces he has is like that there's missing something. Like, I think with Santas, they had an X factor in the team. But when I look at the team, I don't see an X factor that pops up every 3rd game. Like, you have strong structure, but in nowadays CS you can have strong structure, but you need those X factors. That's like, it's tough without that, right? Even if you have a good game plan against Na'Vi, whatever you do, they're gonna make a multi-kill somewhere, and you need to trade really fast.
Yeah.
And I think that's the issue. Like, to become a top 5 team, it's very more competitive it is than it was like a few years ago with Gabi and Tabson calling the team. So yeah, I think you need some more firepower, because I don't think the way Astralis play, they have really good structure with good players. I think that's very hard to replicate now in the meta CS today.
Yeah, I also have a thing with some of the calls that Big make. Like, I don't know, if you review their demos, on their CT sides especially, they'll do where some teams will get like 2 M4s and an MP9 and 2 pistols, right? And they'll have rounds like that. They'll always play, all right, guys, well, we can't all have a rifle, so let's just go with a couple of pistol upgrades and 2 rounds in a row. And that, for me, is like, that's not current meta Counter-Strike.
They're actually true when we played them. They have a kind of strange way of looking at the economy compared to what I'm used to. Suddenly they would do full eco, and then they would be like buy a lot of grenades, armor, and P250, where they could maybe have 2 scouts or like a shotgun or whatever. They have a different view of how to control the economy, and I think that can be really good to code off people, but I think it was very strange to play against compared to like only really a team where the economy was hard to read in that sense, but they also gave a lot of rounds. Like, they gave us 2 rounds because of the way they bought. And I think you have to be very careful with the economy, because it can really switch momentum really fast. If you do a full eco and you buy next round, you kind of destroy enemies' money,
Yeah. I feel like they give away too many opportunities with stuff like that, right? Because then if you do go into that next gun round, you lose the opening pick, then you're automatically saving, because you've just saved for that, and you don't want to go and lose it all straight away. So a couple of odd ones there, but I would like to see, right, if I could live in a fantasy world right now, and assuming that ropz is still going from Mouse Sports, I would like to see Tabson go to Mouse Sports, the in-game leader. No, hear me out. Hear me out.
I'm just going to leave. I'm just going to throw myself.
Tabson,
that's not going to happen.
I know, but Tabson right now, right, in terms of with that big roster, he's still one of the best. He's still one of the best fragging in-game leaders in the world, right?
Oh, he's
right?
amazing. Yeah.
But so he has to go to an international team. Well, he's not going to FaZe, right? So if he was to go to Mouse, just hear me out.
Okay,
just hear me out. Hear me out. All right. Tabson in-game leading Mouse Sports, right? We've got Frozen there, who I think is bloody fantastic. I think BMAS is showing more and more, right, from him every time we get to see, and I think that he really could become a good. He showed good entry fragging at the major, I think. Unfortunately, Acor, buddy, you got to go. We'll get Torzi in now that the VAC ban's up, right? He can. We have to see if he can actually do anything here, but like we'll go there.
We'll try, yeah.
And then Then I know I got rid of Dexter, so we need to get somebody, Australian. So then JKS, right? Right? That would. I think that could be like a pretty good team. Like I think that Tabson right now is wasting what's left of his best years in this roster, because Germany doesn't have enough firepower. Who are you getting?
I get Faven. But the
Okay,
thing
what if
is,
you
like,
can't get Fevin? What if Sprout has him locked away on a massive
the
contract?
thing
or
is,
some
like,
shit?
even with Keto, you feel like, I mean, you said it on the desk as well. You feel like this is not Keto's potential. Like, he could do much more. He was doing more in the past. So,
But my problem is also like Big's best performance has been online, right?
yeah.
We haven't seen like that's the thing about potential,
All
right?
them one-liners.
No. What I'm saying is like the Susan and Keto played really good.
Yeah.
Like, and they are probably great players, but they need more experience on the stage before we actually see what is their potential. Because they also came in a honeymoon. Suddenly, Susan and Keto was joining Big, and they were doing fantastic.
Yeah.
It's not that they've been there before the COVID. I don't know when they changed actually.
It was at the beginning of 2020.
Yeah, they had
Yeah, so like
they
just
came
when
out
COVID
open.
started,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So it was like a period where everything is online. They were sitting together, living together, basically in that office, right? And I think when I saw him come out, like this is a good team. Susan is a great Opa, you know. And but also think they slowly fell down before we went into LAN. But
They also, like, one thing that people kind of forget is they changed their coach, actually. When Toby left,
yes,
true,
after that
he
point,
could have impact. Yeah.
they didn't win anything since that point, I think. So
They've
that's
changed
also,
coach 3 times since then.
yeah.
That's also, that's interesting because that Toby Legia now, right?
It went Toby
then-
into Dude, then it went into
Legia?
Legia, now it's NK.
Yeah.
Yeah.
NKJ,
That's also like at some point you can't change the coach anymore, right? That's the 4th time now.
yeah.
So now you need to figure out something else. But yeah, Santar's leaving was like the kind of X factor for the team. I think Gate is a good asset to any team, but the replacement they get for that has everyone else in the team has to take responsibility and the fracking power up.
Some people in chat are talking about JDC and Faven, so if those two become available, then maybe you can
JDC
make some...
has been showing up pretty nice in Mao's academy. Also, but in Mao's to Big, I feel like that's
that's not happening right now.
No. Okay, all right, that's enough for the big conversation.
If anything, it's more likely that like some of these academy guys are going to go to the main team, like more than one, more than Torsi. So
yeah,
I think that's not happening.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting thing to keep our finger on here. Obviously, we have Heroic yesterday, who I feel like they choked. Right,
I mean,
feel
they
like
choked
choked on Mirage.
The first map, 100%.
Yeah, but
so.
That right there, I look at that game, and the thing is, Eucadian has an interview on Reddit right now saying, I think we're shaking off that online attack or something along those lines. And he said a lot of things, right? Like, this game's for bragging rights. So there was a lot of things that went into yesterday's match. Unfortunately, setting himself up for a bit of a fall with the result. But Finn, where do you put Heroic? Are they legit in your mind?
Yeah, for sure. I also think they have proven themselves. Top 4 the major, right? Top 4 here as well, right? It's like for me, it's the end of the same boat as Gambit. Gambit is a good team, but they are not the great team they were. They are really good, and I think these two names was the names we were looking at coming into lands. Are they gonna be as they have been online, like a kind of dominant force in all the semifinals and finals? So what they've shown here is like they need a little more time, like a tournament by tournament. I think we had the chances also to beat them. It was like really tight game against them.
Yep.
But all I think they are a legit team, and they are a competitor to Astralis here in Denmark, and also bit more time, maybe they can be a top contender. But right now, I put them in that top 5 box around that team. But I would not put them in a stable top 3. I would say they are a dangerous team to any team, and I think they are doing better and better. I think Cologne was tough on them because they didn't make the playoff there. Right, that was like the first warning I got. Okay, is that gonna be what they do? But the next few tournaments they did great on land. So for me, they're going the right direction, but we don't know how high the potential is. Are they like, when I look at Heroic, it's not like I think they're gonna be the best team in the world in 2 months. Where when I look at Gambit, I believe they have a little more an extra gear that we are still missing to see. Where I don't know if Heroic has that extra gear, or is this like where they are? Like, I don't know how to explain it, but when I see Gambit, I feel like they might have that extra gear with a little more time than Heroic would.
Just pass it to Sponge, please.
Yep. What do we
can do? A couple as well.
The water.
Grab a few waters.
Yeah, send them. I want to keep the conversation going here as we get refueled, restocked up. Where am I sending this down the line?
Yeah, just pass it along.
And with what we're talking about Heroic here, I want to put them in the same bucket as what happened to you boys. In the sense of, it's like the context of their loss in this event is to do with the circumstances of the event, right? I think that because you guys both ended up losing to Astralis. So I think the circumstances around that is what a lot of people are going to be looking at here. But what you're talking about is in the future, right? It's the long term for Heroic here, because people at home, they're really short-minded. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's a saying. In thinking like, oh
Short-sighted.
yeah, short-sighted, whatever. They got bad
Short-minded.
fucking memories, just like me. In the sense that like they'll look at this, they go, oh no, they lost to Astralis. Like, but the thing is, this Astralis thing right now is a different beast. This is something that exists only because of the circumstances we have right here. So let's get into talking about today, right? Because
just to touch on Heroic quickly, I
Sure.
think karrigan not really showing up at this tournament has also been a problem. I think his rating's like 0.86 or something like that. Last time I checked, that was like before the last map, so it maybe even went down because they got destroyed on that one. So I think him missing that was a pretty key
he
factor.
acknowledged it in an interview.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, obviously, if you're gonna miss your Alper, like that's gonna be a problem. Like it's just not gonna be the same team. So like that's been a big problem for them here. And I don't think karrigan's the guy I would be worried about. Missing out this like it's consistently like this.
He showed up
So I
on
think
Mirage, but
yeah, that was about it though.
Yeah.
That was the problem I think for them this tournament, that they obviously like against Astralis, like the
well, they
Mirage-
almost beat Na'Vi. They're the first team to take a map off of
Yeah.
Na'Vi, right, since, what was 7 or 8 series. It was 7 series in a row. 2 of them were best of ones. There was the major run where they didn't drop a map, and then they came on in and they
it was like from
dumpstered big.
from the RMR, no, from against Gambit or something that they lost
yeah.
a map or something.
which they weren't trying.
Yeah.
They were not trying.
Simple
'cause it
did
meant
say
nothing.
that he slept 1 hour before that game.
Yeah, they did-
because
they-
he had a birthday the day before.
They didn't care. They didn't care about
No,
that
yeah.
final.
It was like
because it
15,
meant-
16
Probably
maps in a
still
row.
drop a lot of 30 bombs during that game anyway.
yeah, probably.
that game literally meant nothing.
Look, I do think that Heroic stylistically are probably the best match against Na'Vi at this point. Maybe you guys as well. Like if you actually are on point at the same time, I think you can match up against them, because I think you are hard to read for a team like Na'Vi, and Heroic are a little bit of the same, because you don't play the same brand of CS, but you're both really dynamic. Like you really like to come up with like different solutions to different rounds and not be as readable as in that sense as a team like Gambit, who like kind of like plays the percentages and stuff like that. I think you're quite unique in Heroic as well, and I think that's why they match up against Na'Vi quite well. And I think like maybe not form wise, but I think I understand why karrigan said what he said, that they're the only team who can beat Na'Vi. I think that is stylistically the case.
Dangerous to say when
Yeah, I
when
mean-
Navi's reading you into, to be honest.
Yeah. It's
Only gonna make it worse.
Give,
Yeah,
give
you
him
don't wanna
some
do that.
tips. You do some good
I've
interviews.
tried one time with Symbol to make some beef on Twitter. I'm not doing that again. So you have to learn what bears you want to poke, and if the bear right really fast back, you don't want to poke one more time. Like you have to learn it. So yeah, maybe karrigan will learn to not create too much beef with Symbol, because like every time Symbol will see karrigan's name on the server, he will go berserk like for the next 2 years, I think. So
yeah.
This is the thing, right? We were doing a desk segment yesterday, and we were talking about the simple ZywOo, right? It's obviously a big conversation. It's the one that the people at home love to have. It's one that's always fun to have, right? And a part of that conversation was we were talking about the personality types, and Matthew referred to it as ZywOo not having an ego. And I was reading the forums because I'm an idiot. And people like,
ZywOo no ego.
ZywOo shouldn't have an ego. This guy's one of the nicest guys. People misinterpret, and I'm sure that a lot of people making these comments have English as a second language anyway. Like ego in this is to believe in himself. That's what we mean, to think I am the best player in the world, right?
Yeah.
And that is the thing with ZywOo. Maybe deep down he doesn't have that bravado, right? He doesn't walk around, with his chest out. I'm gonna fuck everybody up, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't want him to be like a toxic individual, and that's what people seem to conflate with the idea of ego. Like
People think like ego is egomaniac, right?
Yeah.
It's like two different things. You have an ego, and then like there's an extreme version of that, right?
And
but
I
for
just,
me, when I look at Cyber Symbol, it just reminds me of Ronaldo, Messi.
yeah.
They
That's what-
don't
yeah.
they don't poke each other. Like they respect each other. But where Cyber is the Messi, more quiet. Where Ronaldo will be a little more edgy, which Symbol can be, right?
Yeah.
And they're both great players in their own like kind of terms, and that's how I always look at those two guys, because Cyber doesn't say much. Literally, you don't know much about him. Like, how does
He's
he
gonna
react?
have to start to. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
if
he
you
has
guys have
to, like,
noticed.
now there has to be some kind of attitude with his English, right? You can't actually get into it. You can't really escape that anymore now.
Yeah.
No, I don't know English.
I think if anybody's still kind of like doubting whether that Vitality move is happening, like just fucking look at how many English interviews I've done in the past 2 days or 3 days. You know,
interesting.
Yeah.
like there's
Suddenly he speaks English,
Yeah,
right? Now he
exactly.
can't run away from it.
So
No,
he's,
but
like,
that's-
it just makes perfect sense for him just to get used to it a little bit ahead of time. Like that's obviously what they're doing. So
Yeah, and to the ego thing, he must have ego. Like when you have been rated the best player 2 times in a row,
Yeah.
I hope you have an ego. You
Yeah.
have to. You have to know where your strengths and where your weaknesses are and how you want to play. But if you're the best player in the world 2 times in a year, everybody on the team was like, just keep playing like you want. Like, what do you want to do? You know, like there have to be
Well-
some. And sometimes, like when I see ZywOo, he never looks tilted. He looks very.
No.
calm as a teammate. Where we see Simple, he will be a very emotional best player in the world. You will see him like, come on, guys, he will hype up the team. But Cyrus like, I'm just doing my job.
Yeah. If anything, like you see ZywOo like almost laughing after losses and being the guy who tries to bring the team up. Just like doesn't give a shit. But obviously, like he's an amazing player. So
but we also don't know if he's toxic, right? Toxic can also be not talking. If you're tilt during a game, he might not talk. We have all experienced that in matchmaking, no? Like there can be one guy shouting, "You're stupid," one guy's just muting mic.
Like doing his own shit.
Doing his own shit. You don't know for a fact besides being inside the team, but from outside, they are very different. But on the server, they're actually the same. Like they're the same.
No, I think like on the server, like you can tell that he's confident. Like he just goes into peak.
Sure.
Like you can't be the best player in the world like 2 years ago without being like
I don't
really
trust myself.
confident.
But I think this.
I don't know if I can peak this. I'll try.
This feels like an okay angle. What do you think, guys? I'll go connect us. Should I do that, Apex?
Can I peek in the round?
Yeah, you just don't see it outside of the game, right?
No.
Like they're just incredibly like polar opposites in terms of like personalities outside of the game.
He
so
is
that's
also
the curious one.
more selfless than Simple. This is like just a fact. Like you never see. Have you ever seen Simple pick up a Mac 10 on a gun round and run in first? Have you ever seen it? This never happened. This never.
Not on a gun round.
No, on an eco
Against
round,
the
of course.
Give me that Mac 10.
Give me that. I can run first, guys.
That's kind of different from like you're going out of laps first, like on Inferno. I didn't see that, and ZywOo is a guy that does do that, and maybe to his own and the team's detriment sometimes. Maybe he shouldn't be doing that.
Yeah,
but like he can't do it. He can pull it off. So.
But that's the same thing when we used to watch Navi, when Surfs had an AK and you have Simple run around with the Eagle.
Yeah.
Now that's where I draw the line. That's like drop the AK, please. Like you have to understand at some point you want to feed you need to feed the ego. Yeah, you have to feed it. You want him to be confident and have an ego. Like when you have a player like that.
Okay, let's do this. Today we have Vitality versus Astralis as the first game. Vitality didn't look too hot against Na'Vi, but they did look good otherwise, right? They've already beaten Astralis once. They've already taken them down. It was a very close series. It went all 3 maps. I believe one of the games was overtime. I think. My memory, as we mentioned, not fantastic here. Finn, do you think, right, because I need to steal some analysis. This is my prep before I go to work very shortly. Do you believe that Astralis can keep this form up and topple Vitality? Or do you think that it's going to be the French versus the CIS superstars in the final?
I'm thinking if I were Vitality, knowing what the rumors are, and we all know there's something happening in Vitality, wouldn't you be happy with the top 3 right now?
Yeah, you'd be happy with it.
Wouldn't you be maybe too happy about it? Like, this is...
We're
playing now with us. I think you don't... Obviously, you would have a drive and a momentum, but would you have that 5% that Astralis is definitely going to have because of where they play, where they are, and the rise they're doing, where Vitality is like, we're doing everything we can to in a good note kind of thing. But I think, for sure, I have a feeling Astralis is going to blow Vitality out of the server.
Okay.
The only chance I see is ZywOo dropping an enormous performance. Like, you need a ZywOo performance. If he is like this 120 rating, having a 25 frags, I think they are getting wrecked. And that's no offense to Vitality, but I also think, like, how much are they actually preparing? The coaches on the way out of the door, we heard as well. Like, how much preparation are you doing, knowing that... I mean that's just my feeling. Like,
prepare for Astralis
like you're in 2 different walls of the teams, where maybe Astralis has some pressure, but I think the pressure doesn't. It's just gone on where you are. Like you've seen here, Arena. Whatever happens, whatever happens here, you got a top 3 with a lineup of 11 days. So even if you play in Arena, if this was Astralis that played to practice for 6 months and you play at that team, then I would say there's pressure. But right now, in my opinion, there's no pressure for Astralis. Whatever happens today, they did a great show in front of in front of the audience, right? So I think you have 2 different teams in 2 different curves, and I think that needs some ZywOo performance to even keep that a level game.
Yeah, this is like good pressure for Astralis at the moment because like it's basically just the crowd. Like the results wise, they already got like whatever like they wanted to go get. Like there's no way they expected.
Vitality had the same, right? It's like, okay, they didn't do a liquid first day where they look completely flat. Like they have been looking good, but not great. Like I don't know how to put it, right?
I think I would see this series as like similar to the Heroic one, essentially. Like if once Astralis gets going, I think it's going to be hard to stop them. And like we saw that against Heroic. Like once they got going, like there was really hard. It was really hard to do anything about it.
And that's what I mean. There's only ZywOo with some insane clutches where he shuts down the arena really quiet. If you start winning 1-on-3s, 1-on-4s, and he just goes off, that's where I see like you actually could push. But else I see unfortunately, Destroyer just roll over Vitality. That's like the feeling I'm scared of that in the arena it's gonna be.
I could see that happening for sure. Yeah. I mean, if you're Astralis, if you're Vitality, do you want to play against Navi again and just get wrecked in the final anyway?
Yeah,
So,
avoid that.
Let
someone else try.
Yeah,
Someone
someone
else
else
have
try.
a- You go
tried.
have a try this time, all right? Well, I think that as well would be the best for the event in itself, right? I think overall to have
Astralis in
Astralis,
the final,
yeah,
yeah.
and it would just it would be electric in here just to talk from an entertainment perspective. To remind everybody of that series that the Vitality and Astralis played just the other day, it was Nuke, Dust 2, and Inferno. Nuke was 22-18 in favor of Vitality, Dust 2 16-14, so that's how close it was in favor of Astralis, and then we get to Inferno, and that was a 16-11 game. I just wonder if there's any flexibility in the veto here, because if you're Astralis, maybe now you want to try and pick Mirage. You're going to be feeling super confident on it, but at the same time, like I think that their T side is dog tier. Like they don't have a T side; it's all on the CT side. Like there's no T side strats.
I think you go with Nuke, no?
Still,
Yeah, I think you should have won that when it's that close, and I think with more, they have picked Nuke every single time, no?
What is Astralis' record?
they
Did
picked
lo-
it
did they
besides
lose it all
last
the-
night.
They lose only to us, Nuke, no? Or did they lose again yesterday?
No,
they
they
turned
won
it
it,
around.
but they didn't pick it. Heroic picked it.
Yeah,
Okay,
but they knew Heroic would pick it, so
yeah,
there's
so
no
they
reason.
picked Mirage. So
Yeah.
yeah. So they got
But
lucky in the veto.
Heroic's Mirage is also not great on paper, right? But Vitality, I mean, if you want ZywOo to have a great start, you give him CT side Mirage, no?
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah, could be.
True.
that is a map where he can just float around, right? So I'm not sure how strong they are on the Mirage, and that's also one of the things when you are Astralis, you have like, did they win Mirage against Heroic?
Against Heroic, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
16.
comeback
So now-
though. That's it's a crazy
Oh, no,
comeback.
that's
Yeah. So now there's also an issue, right? You played against us, you played Heroic, but are you that comfortable to pick it one more time? There's a lot of info on you right now, right?
Yep.
And it's hard to tell. Like,
Yeah, I don't know if you can keep getting away with
but
crazy.
here's the thing: you lost new against them. You know what you did wrong. That's come into mind. Like you can pick it and adjust to what
Sure.
Vitality did, right? So that's also one thing. I think that's always when you go into veto, you can. It's hard to pick the same map you won against the same team 2 days later. But if you actually lost it, you could do it because you're gonna do adjustments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I look here at that series, and this backs up what you're saying about the ZywOo situation. He had a 1.41, whereas everybody else on the team here, Apex just had just over a 1 rating, and then Shocks, everybody else was below, and they won the series, right? So when you think about it like that, it is having to be the god tier. ZywOo was plus 31 overall, 92 ADR across the 3 maps.
That's
right?
insane.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that level of performance has to come in here today. Otherwise, yeah, I'm completely
Yeah,
with
and
you
that's
right
what
there.
a really close game then, right?
Yeah, so
And I mean, on paper, when I look at the whole team and the individual player, I think Astralis is the better team,
yes,
player-wise.
player for
Like
player.
for what
Yeah.
style, like ZywOo is gonna destroy everybody in the hop duel. But when I look at the roles otherwise, and like a config is gonna destroy everybody on the side of Vitality role-wise as well. So it's gonna be a great game, I think, for sure.
Yeah, I'm hoping that we do get some fireworks of it, and it's not just a quick one here, but maybe for the day. I think I've been doing like 12 to 14 hours every day, like the analyst lifestyle. I should go back to casting. Casting, you come in, you do a game, and you fuck off. Now I'm here. I gotta watch everything. I think I got like 6 hours sleep the last 2 nights, so that for me is really bad. I feel like shit today, everybody. I don't know if that vibe has been felt by everybody at home.
Yeah, I feel
Has
it
it
already.
translated,
feel it a
yeah.
lot.
Oh, all right. Well, I have my call time's in 11 minutes.
Okay.
So I have to leave in 11 minutes. I don't know if you want to keep going or if you want to leave. That's completely
think
up
we
to
I
you.
mean, there's not that much we can
We-
talk
I
about
think we
anymore.
can
so I
wrap
think
it
we
up,
can
yeah.
just wrap it up.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm in the building, so I don't have to leave. Now, I think what we can do here is maybe we just go into a bit more focus around you and your team for the last couple minutes here while we have you. I'm one of the what? Fuck the segments. We're not doing the segments. If the sponsors, they can call me. They can get. I'll be on the phone. Sorry, sponsors. I'm gonna get fired after this, aren't I?
I don't think you can get fired.
No.
All right, it's all good. Where were we at?
Bulletproof as fuck.
Where were we at? Come on, brain. Work.
Nice.
Work. Yeah. I'm one of the individuals who's probably one of the people being vocal publicly about I think FaZe is going to have a change at the end of the year. And that is based off the fact that I think Olof, when he came back in, it felt like he's just doing a solid for the boys. I don't know how much that you can really talk about this. Can you speak anything to the future of FaZe?
I mean, it was obviously it made sense for us to put in Olof instead of Colt. At that time, I didn't know about the team so much as the role, as what would make sense, and what kind of player we need to get. And I knew Olof is gonna make everybody else better on the team. to see what their potential is, because I know from outside, know from Demons what they can do, but in the system with me and how me and RobbaN likes to work around the team, so we didn't really set a timeline on how long Olof's gonna play, right? If it's going good, but then we had good results, and I think this reminds me of kind of the mouse trajectory, right? The first 6 months was kind of meh when I went to that, right? Did some role changes as a backup before I wanted to change something, and suddenly there was a click, you know, and I think really fast we had a good click with Olof. Like after 1.5 months we came to Cologne, we were top 4. Like that was pretty good result when you think about the online results, right? We are at this point where we need to kind of recap the year, how it's going. But one thing I'm at least proud of is like we have been a stable top 10 team. Like we are just missing out on the playoff of the major. We're just missing out of being a top 4 here at this event as well, right? So in my opinion, it's really hard to pinpoint where the change should be and how we should change and what dynamic we would change. So right now, there's not much I can say about it. I believe we're still a strong team. But my problem has been, did we peak yet or did we not peak? That's the question mark you make as an in-game leader, as an organization. How much more can you get out of the team, right? Is there some small changes we can do adaptation? Because it's not like if we were top 30 like we were in a period, we would have changed something by now. But when you have this very slow trajectory, by doing a change, you can destroy a lot of dynamic and the work, and for what cost, you know? So yeah, not much I can say about it besides like we are looking for next year to do. We want to be very competitive next year. I wanted to be competitive and be a top 4 the major. We didn't do that, but I also think we hit something doing that challenger stage where everything clicked, and then we lose out on VP, and nobody knows how we would perform in the playoffs, right? So it's really tough to say, to be honest, about the future, because we are in that kind of segment where everything is all right, but it's not great.
Yep. Yeah. And obviously, like everybody, right? Well, not like everybody. Winning championships is why you do this, right? It's not just to be a top 10 team. So, okay.
I have a question though. What's RobbaN's situation right now? Because like from my perspective, he's someone that was like coaching, being the manager, then he stepped away. Now he's back. Like I feel like it's not like it's possibly not his like permanent position to be the coach of FaZe. Or is it like how do you see it?
Well, for sure he is. I mean, what happened back then was a lot of stuff in his family, right? So he couldn't coach the team as good as he could, and that was where the whole thing went shit down in FaZe, right? And once I was removed, he wanted also to take a step back. But once I came back, me and him wanted to do this again because we thought we didn't finish our job.
Okay.
You know, we were so close to everything. We had the lineup, we had the pieces, we had the organization, we had the performances we wanted, but we just missed one of the few big tournaments that was like Katowice, Cologne, and the major, right? Those trophies we haven't won yet. And we've been close to Katowice 2 times and the major 1 time, right? So coming back, we have a really good understanding, but also he improves me the way I see the game. He sees my body language, he knows me really good as a person, so he knows when I'm out of the zone and he makes sure to keep me on that track. Because sometimes I can be really out the zone, and that's where like I can really hurt the team in that sense. And he grabs me, for example, in Cologne. I had some few bad maps. He took me aside and like talked to me like a person, you know, like not like a coach in that way, but like he can speak direct to me. Like this is like we have an issue here, and after that I had a great performance 3 maps in a row because I thought about what he's right about. You know, I see it sometimes, but when you have a really good friend and your coach telling you this is like what we need to be a little more careful of, and I think so I have a really good relationship with him with that, and I think he is also improving like with the mistakes we do in practice to keep the guys up to level where the coaching, the way you coached 3 years ago is not the way you coach today.
Yeah. You got anything, Striker, here?
Enough. No, I just wanted to ask. I mean, this has kind of been asked over and over, and I'm not sure if you specifically have spoken about this. Like, obviously, every time we talk about Olof, we hear this same line that you just said. And I mean, like, we've heard it so much that I feel like it has to be true because, like, everybody says it, that he just makes everybody around him better. So can you talk about the specifics? Like, what does he do that's, like, quantify it for us?
Yeah, I mean, when we first got Olof, right, I knew Olof as a really high peak player. He was so great, right? But what I realized we got Olof back then was, like, he doesn't have an ego in that sense. He understands that the players around him now is better than him. He will not take space. He will do whatever is necessary for the team. So if we need 2 guys to buy grenades, I will always do it, and he take it. I'll do it. You know, he will drop guns to take a FAMAS for someone else, like I usually do. All that kind of stuff where he knows, like, okay, this AK could be 5% better in Trista's hand than mine. That could actually win an important frag. But what I've always been unique about Olof is the calmness in a 3-on-3, and he has the most simple calls and moves he does. They're so simple that you cannot misunderstand what to do. But sometimes players will complicate stuff in a 3-on-3, like where he was just walk with me here. You know, he will, once he's in that zone and feel comfortable, he's really good at just creating that space, but still be very calm about it. So that's what I always found unique, like from the inside of the team, where I didn't know what kind of player he was when he came to the team. But he's not like he's a support player by se, but he just understands the piece of when to take the duo, when to take the timing. And I don't have to tell him why you didn't do this or why you don't move left and right. He knows, like from experience, he might not have the best aim, but he will get those kills you need for opening the round, right? And he never tilts. He's always very calm, and like he's just a great teammate in that sense. And there's not many of those players in my career where he understands when to take a step back. And when you've been the best player in the world, it's tough to come into a team knowing that you are gonna be the 4th star and you have to do some shit roles. But I also think he's happy I'm in the team, so he doesn't have to play B Mirage all the time.
Right.
They actually can play short and have some impact, because like I think when I left, he got into like so many positions where you don't have anything to say and basically just have to get a kill and survive, right? And I think that's the thing about Olof. He's very unique in that way, and sometimes I wish I'm that simple, not overcomplicating stuff, because sometimes you do it, but he never does it.
Do you think that was the issue with like the difference between Cold and Olaf? That like Cold obviously is a guy who will take some space, you know, and just like he will have like what we were talking about, a bit of an ego, and I just like think that like certain positions are just right for him and stuff like that, obviously. So is that the difference, do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I think Olof can be a more all-around player than Cold. Cold had a specific style. He's a specific role player, right? We all know he's very passive. It's not like he's going for a lot of stuff. So he is a very specific role where, like you say, it's very hard to quantify what Olof is. He's a very fluent player. He will go first if he needs to. He will also be alert. He can take the AWP if he wants, but if I want to AWP, he lets me AWP. You know, like he's like we have always talked about in the team with Nico, Guardian, and Rain. He's the glue of the team. Like in that sense, like if something miss here, he will make sure to take care of that part. And if he thinks I'm too chaotic, sometimes he say, Finn, calm down. You know, he's not scared to say stuff and keep everybody in the same environment, right? So, but what I've learned of Olof, he needs a good environment to perform good and enjoy playing CSGO, because let's be honest, he have achieved a lot of stuff in CSGO, so he wants to play CS not for fun, but you know what I mean? Like he wants to enjoy CS.
Yeah.
And I think in the end, the environment that FaZe when I left, the environment wasn't the best. Where it feels like he has more fun now playing and actually enjoy grinding CSGO as well.
He doesn't have to be there, right? It's a place where he wants to be, right?
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the difference, and that obviously we don't know if if we haven't talked with Olof, like how does he feel? You know, now it's been 6 months with the team. Does he really wants to keep playing? Right? We don't want to keep him if that's not what he want to do in life. But right now, I mean, we need to have a talk with him, right? Because like I said, we don't know if Olof have more in him or are the players performing better with Olof in the team, stuff like that. But like I said, we are on a trajectory upwards, and that's where I'm very scared to pick out one piece and maybe some players drop 5-10% and maybe we get a better player individually, but the dynamic of the team is very dangerous, because at that point, when you change a player, it doesn't work, you have to change another. Like you turn the boat in a very dangerous direction, where it is easier to replace people when you are a top 30 team and you're supposed to be number one.
Yeah.
Like,
and obviously, like again, not asking you to confirm any rumors, but if you do get a player like ropz, like then you have all those issues that you potentially could have had with Cold, you know, where like he expects to be in certain positions, he expects to have like some set roles.
He's already played with ropz though.
Yeah, you know, like
yeah, of course. But I'm just saying, like if you miss that player who's just gonna be able to fill those gaps, you're just gonna have trouble finding space for everybody that needs the space, right?
Yeah,
like,
and
so.
that's the thing. Like I have been so volatile my whole career. I can do whatever. I can, if you don't have an Xtrfy, I can do the Xtrfy. If we don't have a lurk, I can lurk in many mid rounds. You know, like so. like I've always been the people that can fill the gap, but with Olof, there's a little less responsibility on me because I know he understands what I want to do in the round.
Sure.
So it's not like I have had some players asking me 120 where we want to end. Like, don't ask me that question. I don't know it yet, so don't ask me where we end. Just play your like kind of position. We see what happens, and you fill the gap. You know, like sometimes he will say, "Come be with me." You know, okay. Like he understands that game, and that's what I mean. Like that's also the thing. Like if you take a new player instead of Olof down the line or another player, I have to be very sure. Like this is what's gonna improve the team, because I don't want to take a game at this point when you are an up trajectory. Like if, like I said, we were top 30, you could take chance on anything, right? Because we made the right choice picking up Olof instead of Cold. He wanted to come back, and we did better with Olof than we ever done with Cold, right? If that's on me or if that's on clashes in the style, I don't know, but it just became automatically better with Olof.
Okay. All right, here's the deal, boys. It's 1:30. I need to shoot.
Yep.
Do you guys want to keep going, or do you want to close it
No,
down?
I think we wrap it up. I
Yeah.
think we've kind of talked to everything we needed to.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Apologies for us being an hour late for all the viewers at home. More so for Karrigan. Sorry for keeping you waiting, mate. I do apologize for
invoice
that.
you?
Yeah, no, Martin. Invoice Martin at HLTV.org. Is that the email?
Yes,
I'm
it
getting
is. Yes, it
nods
is.
from the pundits in the back. Yeah, okay. Martin
Everyone
at
just, everyone just
HLTV.org.
email him and tell him to pay Karrigan for the show.
Okay, yeah. Well, his time that we wasted, but yeah, it's been good that we've been able to do this in person. So thanks for Blast for giving us a bit of a space right here.
Yeah.
I think they've just opened the doors. Actually,
like it.
they've
Nice.
just opened the doors. It looks like the spectators are starting to filter on in. And yeah, look, this has been a bit of an odd interview. So a quick shout out again to the sponsors who make this one all possible. Paramatch, gamble responsibly. Xtrfy been here since the beginning. Displate, the newest on the board. If you want some metal posters, check them out. And Bitskins, buy and sell CSGO skins and items, I believe it is. Or trade. I think you can trade them. You can also do lots of things with them. Anyway, this has been HLTV Confirmed. Thank you for tuning in. Karrigan, you want to say anything to the viewers at home?
Thank you for tuning in, guys.
He is the Batman. Good night.
Add some fun to your space with Xtrfy, designed in Sweden with focus on quality products built on experience. You're looking at Project 4, their 4th generation of products with super cool colorways to stand out, with matching sets to satisfy with a solid B4 bungee, lightweight ergonomic M4 mouse, the K4 keyboard is fantastic, all of which are performance focused, and finish it off with colorful GP4 mouse mats that are bold in design and smooth on the surface. The retro theme in particular has got the feels. Complete your setup with Xtrfy. No regrets, guaranteed.
Stuck ranking up? Lost the motivation to grind? Bored of clicking heads on aim maps? Get some color into your game. Bitskins.com. Buying and selling skins made easy. Tons of payment methods and instant cash outs. Just choose your dream skins, select your preferred payment method, and start grinding again. If you want to play like the pros, you gotta look like the pros.
These bombs go to the teammates.
I wanna see you rolling fast. Win the round. Win the game.
Paramatch, your esports teammate.
The nice thing about displays, they're super high quality and very easy to hang up. All you have to do is mount the magnet they provide you, then just stick the poster on the wall. Every art piece they offer is super collectible and looks great no matter where you place it in your house or room. Another wonderful thing about Displate is they also look after the environment. Every poster someone buys, Displate will plant one tree. They've already planted over 14 million trees and they're still planting. So you're not just getting an awesome poster, you're also helping the environment.